pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm your Mayor, Judy Paul, and it gives me great pleasure to take part in this virtual celebration of a great American. We honor individuals not out of obligation, but out of sheer inspiration. And today, on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we can shine a light on someone who is the definition of inspiration. Dr. King was known as a lead spokesman for nonprofit activism in the civil rights movement. He helped to organize the 1963 March on Washington, where the famous "I Have a Dream" speech was delivered. And he also received the Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequality through his nonviolent resistance. From the Selma to Montgomery marches, to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference movement north to Chicago, to work on segregated housing, to his focus to include opposition towards poverty and the Vietnam War. Throughout his career, he sought change for a world where everyone matters. Today, let's honor him and take the lessons he shared with us as a means to continually inspire change. In Dr. King's words, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. So join us on this day of service and do what you can to change the community for the better. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Howdy, I'm your Vice Mayor and District 1 Councilmember, Michelle Whitman. Thank you to everyone who's joined us virtually as we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s historical accomplishments today. I would like to take a moment to present to you the Martin Luther King Jr. Day Proclamation. Whereas the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 and was assassinated at age 39 on April 4, 1968. And whereas Dr. King preached equality through nonviolence change and was a leader of the civil rights movement in the United States of America. And whereas Dr. King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, and whereas Dr. King's actions were directly responsible for the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act in 1965, and whereas MLK Day was made a national holiday on the third Monday in January by an act of Congress signed by President Reagan in 1983, making this year's holiday Monday, January 17, 2022, and whereas the town will honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. virtually on Monday, January 17, 2022 through the town's social media platforms. And whereas the town of Davie recognizes Monday, January 17, 2022 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day in loving memory of this great American. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and the town council of the town of Davie do hereby proclaim Monday, January 17, 2022 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Thank you.
Hi, I'm District 2 Councilmember Carol Hatton. Today, I have the esteemed honor to participate in this tribute to honor civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose life, work, dedication enacted real change, equality for all people. As we take the time to reflect on Dr. King's work, message, and accomplishments, we must find ways as a society to incorporate his teachings of love, peace, tolerance, unity, and a shared community spirit. Dr. King, the trailblazer we know of today, will continue to inspire this generation and generations to come. Take some time today to read and learn more about his legacy and how this can be used to affect long-term change. I leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Dr. King. The quality, not the longevity of one's life, is what's important. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Susan Starkey, your District 3 Council member. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day has become one of the renowned days for our community service and humanitarian efforts, aligning with Dr. King's vision. You can honor his work by teaching and sharing your stories of his philanthropic work with friends, family members, or your neighbors. We all must do our part to contribute to preserving his legacy and a legacy that propelled social and economic change. His advocacy on peace, justice, and equality is instrumental for a brighter future. By taking the time to volunteer, attend virtual events such as this one, or read stories that discuss his work, we can continue to keep his memory alive. Together, we can all make a difference. Thank you.
Hello and Happy New Year. I'm Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and I proudly serve our community in Washington, D.C. as your U.S. representative. On January 17th, I will join South Floridians in the nation in marking the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. As we celebrate the life and legacy of this great leader, it is an appropriate time to remember the way he called each of us to engage with one another and with our communities, to speak and act to improve lives and to spread compassion. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others, Dr. King said. To that end, we honor Dr. King's legacy through service by empowering individuals, strengthening communities, bridging barriers, and creating solutions to social problems. When we work together to improve our communities, we continue Dr. King's legacy of working toward a brighter future. We've come a long way as a society in the nearly 6 decades since the March on Washington and Dr. King's historic and powerful I Have a Dream speech. But as far as we've come, too often we are reminded of just how much more work must be done. When Dr. King delivered his famous Dream speech, he reminded a very divided nation that we are stronger together. He urged us to concentrate and focus on the very real challenges faced by humanity as they are unfolding. Over a half-century later, Dr. King's words are as pressing as the day he first spoke them. This is no time for apathy or complacency. We are still fighting for equal rights, affordable health care, quality education and opportunity for all amid a global health pandemic and violent and economic upheaval that pose real threats to our democracy. Decades later, we still find ourselves marching and speaking out against painful and senseless violence. We are undergoing a national reckoning on issues of equality and justice. And the question is, what will we do to help others and make a meaningful difference? How will we address our community's pain? What steps will we take to make our union more perfect? One way that I've tried to do this is by joining my colleagues to create the bipartisan Congressional Caucus on Black-Jewish Relations. This caucus assembles members of Congress from both communities, from both sides of the aisle, all to learn from each other and advocate for the concerns of both communities. And it helps to bring African American and Jewish communities together to combat stereotypes and hate and showcase all of our rich commonalities. We know ignorance and hatred often breed violence. Together, we must build upon our shared history and values to call out hate, discrimination, racism, and anti-Semitism, no matter where it rears its ugly head. More than ever before, we must work to honor, strengthen, and safeguard the bond our communities share in the struggle for equality in America, and continue the fight for the rights for which Dr. King sacrificed his life. Let us stand together now, working towards Dr. King's goal that all generations to come may live in an America without racism, anti-Semitism, bigotry, intolerance, or hatred. Thank you so much.
I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream